What's up, everyone? Welcome to Believe in Rams, presented by FanDuel. Erin Coscarelli back with you with my Super Bowl winning tackle, Rob Havenstein. In the mix, Rob, we had day one of two joint practices that the Rams are going to conduct ahead of their preseason games. Today, they welcomed the Cowboys to Woodland Hills, their practice facility. Stafford looked great. Puka looked great. Davante looked great. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Good.
What's going on?
No, not much. Hanging out with the kiddos, not at joint practice, banging my face against somebody. So mental health checks doing great. That's one thing I'm never gonna miss is those joint practices because they're a beast for sure.
Elaborate on joint practices because Coach McVey loves them. He talks about how important they are, especially because the ones don't get much time in the preseason. McVey does not start his
Mhm.
starters. The Rob Havenstein perspective on what joint practices are like.
Yeah, so joint practices to me are always kind of, especially when you're playing, they're kind of hit or miss for me because it's a great way to go hit somebody else during training camp. You've been hitting your own team, and you're not game planning for them. So you get to go play somebody else, play hopefully a different style of defense, different people, test yourself a little bit. But to me, they were all, they're games without consequences of the games. And so that's what always frustrated me a little bit. There's guys taking a little bit more liberties in those practices than they probably would in a game, meaning, they can play a little bit more risky because if they let up a 40-yard run, it's just the play. It's already scheduled that the next play is 2nd and 10. So who cares, So it's kind of stuff like
Mm.
that. But Sean takes these very seriously, Erin. I mean, obviously the starters don't play, so these are the preseason games for the starters. So there was, I'm sure, a lot of work, a lot of ones work. Usually it's broken up with 6 or so plays for the ones, if it's not 8, and then 4 for the twos, and then ones get the majority of the reps going on there. But yeah, joint practices are 60, 70, sometimes 80 plus plays of good work, and Sean takes them seriously, and so that's one thing he's going to know, that the team is taking them as seriously as possible, and kind of seeing what you got, especially for those younger players out there.
Yeah, an opportunity for Stetson Bennett and Ty
Hmm.
Simpson. Matthew Stafford had one sole pick. I believe it was to his lone pick was when he threw the first. There were three interceptions that Cowboys linebacker Justin Barron hauled in. So everybody got an opportunity to give the team a pass.
Yeah.
But Stafford looked really good. Puka looked really good. And so did Davante. Now, to give you sort of a 411 on just kind of what happened at joint practice today with the Cowboys, Puka Nacua ran off the field, sort of surprising, and is so surprising in a way. Coach, when asked at the presser afterwards, kind of like an update on why, Coach didn't really elaborate because he said he didn't know. And actually a quote to pull up too from Stafford, because he was also kind of asked, like, what happened with Puka, or if he had sort of saw what happened, and Stafford said, quote, "I didn't. I'm not really sure the issue. Nobody ran up to me in a panic. So I don't think it was anything too major, but what do you make of that
Yeah,
situation?"
yeah, probably a guy being smart. From what I've heard, kind of, around the Rams organization, is that no one's freaking out too much right now, and so the panic button has not been hit, as far as far as I know. So, there's always little things that go on, and obviously as training camp goes on, the regular season gets closer, and you
Yeah.
probably saw that a little bit with the Myles Garrett with his whatever small issue is going on with his knee, or, he's got some swelling. It's like, all right, let's not push it because there's going to be a lot of good work. And, you're not playing your teammates. And so maybe there's a little extracurricular
Mm.
activity of a shove here or there, or maybe, a hold that would get called, or but it's practice. And so, they're going to do it anyways. And so it just kind of could put you in a vulnerable situation if you already got maybe some underlying issue going on. But as far as I know, I wouldn't, number one, he jogged off the field. That's to me the most telling, where it's like, okay, panic button's not hit. Puka Nacua is still going to be okay. And so I'm sure, there's nicks and bruises that pop up all over the season that, guys will have to deal with. So as far as I know, everything's going A-okay.
Yeah, that's a good point that you made, Rob. And I think, to add on your Myles Garrett, that was one of the things. He was also not playing. And when we asked Coach afterwards, he said to err on the side of caution because Myles dealing with some knee swelling. It's something that he's had. He said it's not a huge concern. You know how us media like to make everything a big deal. But, you do want to make sure your guys are healthy. So it does I guess it does make sense when you are playing another team in a joint practice, they're not going to be quite as tender as your own players. And so out of an abundance of caution, don't put yourself in a compromising situation. Is that kind of more? Yeah.
Yeah, Erin, that's exactly it. Because it's a big thing in the NFL, especially when you're practicing. It's like, hey, learn how to practice. We're going hard, especially with your own team. Like it's a skill of like, I'm going as hard as I can and pushing myself, but not to the point where I'm endangering other people, where I'm not falling on the ground or, hey, I get beat. I'm not, as an offensive lineman, I'm not turning around and grabbing a guy by the collar or holding on a little longer to where he gets ripped down. All of a sudden, it's, a leg is in a bad position or an arm is outstretched or something like that. So, that, especially with a joint practice, like I said, it's a game without consequence, So, hey, this is basically hockey rules, fighting's legal. You might be able, break it up, but you see it all around the league. Every year there's a scuffle or something and someone getting pushed or punched or whatever it is. And so, there's no 15-yard penalties and you're getting ejected from the game and then you got a NFL fine on top of that. There's none of that. So it's practice. Like I said, it's a game without consequence. So there's going to be some compromising situations there. So if you have one of your superstar type players with something going on, Sean has always erred on the side of let's be as healthy as we possibly can while still getting good work, but healthy as we can when that opening game starts rolling around.
Yeah. I mean, why risk it when you have the very highly anticipated season that the Rams have 7 primetime games? It just, it's the best ability is
your availability.
There you go. See, there you go. The other last kind of bit of news that seems to be the themes, I would say, for the Rams as of late. Well, there's 2, but no new news on Aaron Donald, in case you were wondering.
Oh, I've been keeping up. I got my alert set to if Erin ever does anything, and I think matter of fact, I think we all do.
Oh yeah, we will be jumping on as soon as we hear anything with regards to number 99. There were some rumors floating around with some of the media that maybe Erin would come and just watch the practice. I'm like, oh, that would be insane if he just came and
he would blow the world up.
Oh my gosh. So probably good that he didn't come because we would have all lost our minds. So no number 99 sighting, no new update when we asked McVey afterwards. And then McVey, who always kind of has a funny, sense of humor, he's very good at sort of catching himself because he's, as one would be, an emotional guy. And he was getting asked a lot about the Melbourne strategy or the Melbourne schedule. And, what I make of it is it could be one of 2 things. He had said he hasn't told the team yet, but also it could be a strategic, doesn't want to give out too much information. The difference, though, between what the Rams did last year, which obviously you were there for, they were only in London to maintain sort of that routine and avoid as much jet lag as possible, was they were kind of in and out. They stayed, you guys stayed I think less than 48 hours. I don't know, less than
28 hours, 29 hours or something. It was not a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a competitive edge that the Rams have. It works. It worked last year. And rumors are coming out that they're not staying as long, whereas the Niners are, I'm hearing, going maybe more midweek. The difference is, though, London is not as long of a flight as Australia. I want to say it's like 16, 17 hours. So he also wasn't asked about it, but he did make a joke about, hey, I know I got a little frustrated with all the questions about Melbourne. We haven't communicated anything to the players, and until I do, we're not going to communicate it to you guys, which I respect. But so mum's the word on Melbourne.
Yeah, no, that's 100% fair, because especially before the final cuts have happened, it's really not something, because this is a different team than what the actual roster is going to be. And so to make it fair to everybody who is going to, competing for a job and a roster spot on this Rams team, Sean's always been saying, keep the main thing the main thing. And right now, the next big deadline is the preseason games and getting through to those final cuts. That's what I would think. Now, he might mention it kind of later on, just to kind of give some of the guys, like I think Matthew and Davante and Puka and Myles are probably pretty safe to make this year's team. So it might get mentioned, but especially, they just had their first joint practice of. I'm not surprised Sean hasn't kind of told everyone yet, because not everyone's going to be there, unfortunately. That's on the team right now. And so I could see that possibly being a reason why. And so it's, and Sean loves repeating himself. So, if you ever see Sean out and about, just make him repeat himself 100 times. And
he loves it.
Loves it. Absolutely loves it. Maybe, all right, maybe not. Maybe he hates it.
You know who I got to meet yesterday, and I don't think I told you this. I was so blown away with how kind and thoughtful and present and curious Mr. McVey.
Oh, the mayor. Absolutely.
He's unbelievable. He is so amazing. I was like, he probably stood with me and another reporter and chatted, like asking us about who for like an hour.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, this is. He's called the mayor, you said?
The mayor. Yeah, he walks around, he comes into the cafeteria room, and, he's got the, the Asics or the Monarchs laced tight, nice white clean socks on, and, shirt tucked in. He's got a briefcase for some reason. I don't know what's in it, but, he looks ready for business. And, but you talk to him, he's just such a genuine guy, where it's like, you realize that the apple really didn't fall far from the tree there. Yeah. And so, like that's what, Sean's magic is being truly genuine. And then you meet his dad and you're like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough. I see exactly where at least some of that comes from. But he's always a great hang and a great talk, and a lot of great stories around it to McVey too. So if you get a chance again, go talk to him again, because it's entertaining every time.
I mean, just a kind, entertaining, kind, thoughtful, and he loves being a grandpa. Those two boys with Sean's kids, and it just, again, it makes sense why that facility, there's something sort of magical about it, because another interesting today, and I haven't posted it yet, but I got to sit down with Stetson Bennett. And he, I'd wanted to talk to Stetson because I wanted to understand resilience, right? He was so highly touted out of college, won two back-to-back national championships while he was a walk-on, right? So think about that just in and of itself. And then you come to the Rams, you're a rookie, you're a big dog, on campus, and then you come and, you face reality because you're not the big dog anymore, and you have to really work your way up. And PR said he stepped away from the game to take a little bit of a break. And I think that there is power in having gone through certain moments of adversity like that, because those were some of the shared talking points that I had. I'm like, you can help other people who might have high pressure moments in their life or feel like they're not measuring up, and
Mhm.
how can we address that or help younger people even. And he was really transparent about it, and he just said it's being a part of the Rams organization. He what he does is he basically just takes it pass by pass. I mean, he really doesn't look too far ahead. I'm sure there's a reason for that, right? And we think about the future, or we think about winning or losing or getting the championship, and then we get ahead of ourselves. Um, and that's one of the things that I think McVey always says is just to be
Yep.
present.
Yep.
So it was really interesting to have a conversation with Stetson, who, has had to go through some moments in his career that were not so easy. And I think being vulnerable about that, as Coach McVey has been vulnerable about his own moments that have been hard. I think that's helpful, because we look to you guys almost like we think you guys are our heroes, but you're people. You're just, you're still
Oh,
people,
100%. We're people.
right?
We have struggles. We bleed. We have problems. We have situations that come up, situations that we don't handle the best way. Not saying that Stenson's our issue at all. I think Stenson did a wonderfully mature thing by that, and like how transparent and open he's been about that process just really, really shows you that he's not mastered it, but he's opened up to it and
Mm-hmm.
kind of worked on making himself a better version of himself with all the I hate this word, expectations. Expectations are just unrealized gains yet. It's like what could be. And so when you look at your feet and you look where you are today, and that's what you worry about, where stuff you worry about stuff you can actually control today, because I can't do anything about a week from now. Right now I can work on today that might help me out in a week, but I can't change what's going to happen in a week yet. And so I think that's a wonderful thing, and I'm very, you should post that, because I'm going to watch that later, because I love Stenson. He's an awesome guy. He's funny. um He's a great time on the golf course too. So if you ever get out there to go swing it with him, he's a wonderful time. But I think that's such an awesome thing that he's done and overcome, because Sean's always said, you show me someone who's had success, and he's going to show you some adversity that they've gone over. And so sometimes it shows up in different ways, and Stenson's done such a great job with his and the way he's come back from that, because a lot of people haven't, especially
Yeah.
in this league with all the cameras, and you maybe you're
Oh
going
yeah.
through something, and you get a microphone in your face, and hey, explain this, why is this, why is that, and maybe you're not quite ready to go, but to be open and transparent about it is, I mean, just kudos off to that kid.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I found that to be a very impressive conversation and helpful for me even. I think I've never played football, so I don't have the ability to relate to being in a huddle, but I do have the ability, as we've talked about many times over, adversity, pressure, anxiety, failure, winning, highs and lows. And that was the other thing. Don't get too high, don't get too low, because
Mhm.
you can win, back-to-back national championships. But I think it was another thing McVey said is you're only a day away from humility. What's the saying? He's like, you're only away a
Yep.
day of being humbled.
Yep. You're a day away from humility in this league.
That's
Yep.
right. Do you have a favorite? I mean, it's amazing. Everything I was saying this to Mr. McVey. I was saying this to Tim. I'm like, everything he says is such a it sounds in theory like it's just quotes, but in actuality it is something he lives by.
Oh
And
yeah.
do you have a favorite Sean ism?
Oh man, I've thrown around so many over the years. A day away from humility is a good one. You're either in the storm,
Oh,
going
I love that.
before the storm, or you're after the storm. That's a great one too, because it's football, if anything, is just a big metaphor for life. And I was lucky enough to be talking with my high school football coach this past weekend. And he said one thing when he's talking to some of the parents and his young kid, or the kids and stuff, and they're like, why should he go play football? I'd be like, because it's hard, because football is hard, and to do hard things in your life is a good thing.
Mm,
And so making that choice to do something that's uncomfortable, that's hard, it's if anything, it just makes you a more resilient human being. And so, obviously, if you're in the NFL, it's obviously a great way to provide for your family too. But in terms of just overall life in general, I mean, all of his
Mm.
sayings sound so good because if you sit and really think about them, like, man, that can be related to everyday life all the time. Pre-career, during career, post-career, being a father, a brother, a son, a daughter, whatever it happens to be. Like, it's just such good advice because football is hard. So when you go through those hard things, you rely on those little sayings that can kind of pick you back up and, get you going on the right path.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing, I think, especially for young people to remember and keep in mind, because and just to go back to Stetson really quickly, what a blessing it was for him to be drafted by the
Hmm.
Rams, because
Oh
the
yeah.
Rams really, and I don't know and can't speculate and don't want to on the specifics of Stetson taking a little time away, but the fact that the Rams kept him, looked
Hmm.
after, wanted to make sure he was okay. And then now you see him, uh, the number two as of right now, because McVey is still not sure whether or not he wants Stetson to play in the preseason. So we know what that means. That means Ty Simpson's going to get the majority of the work. And what a gift for a young man who might be going through something, to be on a team that doesn't just move on to the next, when football
Yep.
can be so bottom line and let's move on and let's fire this coach and let's move. And it's probably because the Rams and the leadership in that building has gone through hard things. You don't really learn when you're winning, right? You learn when you're needing to revise
Right.
and look at things differently. And I know, just for myself speaking, I don't speak too openly about some of the loss that I had, especially during COVID, but I take a lot of things less personally now because of my loss, because of the adversity, and thank God for that. I mean, if that's the one blessing. So I absolutely love what you said, and I think being tested and football being hard is probably a really great thing for young people.
Oh, all over the place. Adversity is going to happen whether you want it or not, and so it's how you respond from it.
Hmm. Yeah, and McVey talked about it actually, and I know we're going to wrap things up. But the he spoke really highly about his coaches, Robert Woods,
Hmm.
and the various new guys. They had to have 10 new coaches come in, which is like I guess it's a good problem to have, right? We know what that
Carousel
means.
over there. Yeah, right.
It's crazy. And I asked McVey, because he was speaking highly about the guys that he has on his team, some new guys he's brought in, and the foundation that gets built. And I said to him, I said, what is the number one at the very end? I got in a question because they were kind of wrapping things up. I said, what's the number one quality you look for when you're onboarding a coach? And, of course, being a good human and the character, right? He
Hmm.
said it's the capacity, it's the connection. Um, oh, and he said, just to touch on the adversity, he said, look, we're going to go through adversity. I don't know when it's coming, but we're going to handle a lot in this journey. So make sure you have people in your corner that you can trust to go through those like essential trenches with
Oh
you.
yeah.
And it's so true, right?
Oh yeah, it's 100% true. It's going to happen in your personal life. It's going to happen in work. It's going to happen. It's going to be an injury. Hopefully not bad, but you play football long enough, it's 100% rate of being injured. So something's
Yeah.
going to happen. And then do you have the armor? Do you have the fortitude to go ahead and work through it? Find a different solution if you need to, or just sometimes you got to go head down and go straight through it. But just speaking of that, the carousel out there. I mean, Robert Woods comes in, Brian Allen comes in, Kliff Kingsbury. Like, there's so many new coaches, so many new
Mhm.
faces, and most of them are for a good reason. Because you've had that success. I remember reading Sean McDermott, the former coach of the Buffalo Bills, came to the camp, and he was he was on he was quoted saying that if Sean offered him a job, he would 100% be there, but he needs to live at Sean's house because he's done living in a apartment or trailer or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it's like, that's the culture of the Rams of like, you start with good people, you bring in good or better people, and it's just kind of like a self-feeding machine that just breeds positivity and good things because you're doing the little things the right way and you're surrounding yourself with the right people. And not to make this whole episode
I know
a little bit of a soapbox, but it's like, man,
I know.
If the people around you are good, you got such a good chance of being good and successful yourself. I mean, it's so true. Football, the ultimate analogy for anything life.
Yeah, I know. Listen, you are, at least you were in the wall. I'm on the outside of the facility in a way of, I don't have access the way you have and had. But that's why I think my opinion is valuable, because you don't have to treat the media the way that the Rams make sure that they get quality time with the players, and there's, to me, it's a mutual respect that I think if you give it, you'll get it. And the Rams do, I've worked for several different networks and organizations, and it is true. Like, those players are respectful because the leaders of the team are respectful, right? So it permeates exactly like what you said. And I know we went on a tangent about the culture there, but I think it's very important that and eventually this team is going to have adversity. What it looks like depends on the cohesion and the family, strength within the team, which is why, again, culture is just essentially good for business, whether you're running a football organization, a law firm, a real estate company. Culture is good for business. So speaking of business too, real quick, I wanted to mention how important good quality workmanship is. And one time when I was getting a ride share, the extra effort that I remembered, somebody sort of going above and beyond to make sure I was looked after, just simply going to the airport. And I feel like it's the same thing, Rob, when it comes to hiring. People who just go the extra step, they're often the ones you remember most. And that's why I like ZipRecruiter. Candidates can actually tell you in their own words why they're interested in your job, helping them stand out. Plus, ZipRecruiter's new feature puts the most interested, qualified candidates at the very top, so you can meet the right people even faster. Try ZipRecruiter and meet great candidates who will go the extra step for you and your job. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter usually get a quality candidate within the first day. So try for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, meet your match. Okay. The Rams doing some very good hiring. We just talked about it. You're going to have a very busy week, but hopefully we'll get some time with you sometime throughout the week. But sounds like everything is good over in Woodland Hills. We'll know more, and when we find out, of course, we'll update you guys. Still no Aaron Donald appearance. We don't know. Maybe Friday. We don't know anything. And Rob, as always, it's so good to see you. Thank you for being
Always good to talk to you, Erin.
The fans love you.
Fans
love you.
Well, thank you. Right. I love them.
They love you. They love you. All right, guys. Till next time. That's a wrap.